Okay.
Hi,
You
Jacob.
guys see and hear me okay?
We can.
All right, great. Hi, Doug. Hi,
Hi, I'm
Melina.
gonna stop the share and let you take it over.
Okay, sounds good. What's up, everybody? My name is Jacob, and I own and operate a company, a marketing agency with my partner, James. We are based out of San Francisco, and we just opened up an office downtown Santa Cruz on River Street. So we're really happy to be part of the community. Like I said, we are a film production and digital marketing agency. And I just want to go through, just the Facebook ad algorithm. My background is at Facebook, so we're going to dive right in. If my background looks weird, it actually is a real background. This is for a kids helmet company that we work for. We work with Bell Helmets out of Scotts Valley, and they bought this company called Rascals. You might have seen their helmets around, and we did all their production and marketing for them, and we built out this tree fort to kind of do, host all of their videos out of. So that's why I'm in a tree fort. Okay, so enough of that. Let's jump right in, and we're gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. Get this set up properly. Okay. So, like I said, we are Concept the agency. And I'm gonna kind of burn through this pretty quick. So if I'm just kind of like going and talking, just try and stick with me. I got a lot to cover, so that's why I'm gonna be talking, not too fast, but I'm definitely gonna be moving along. So let me just start off by saying, welcome to the Facebook Ads Training course. I'm gonna be taking you through our agency's best practices for making sure that every dollar you spend on Facebook ads works harder for you. So as you can see here, we've got a video ad that we built out for Facebook and Instagram Stories platform. This is actually a 3-part video series. And by applying what we know about the Facebook's ad algorithm and how their Stories platform user interface and user experience works, we're able to come up with a creative concept that really focuses on hooking the viewer's attention, getting them to engage with the ad and take a desired action. So the idea of the ad here is to use the carousel feature to kind of gamify the ad experience for the viewers. Now, if you're familiar with the Carousel Stories, when a user taps the screen, it quickly switches to the next story and plays instantly. Knowing that, we built out a 3-part motion graphic series that prompts the viewer to tap the screen to find out what they want to eat. Now, once they tap, Instagram automatically flips to the new story queued up, which is, of course, our second video in the series that is now it's flashing various food options rapidly on screen, with a call to action to tap the screen to choose, at random where you'll be dining next. But the only thing is, it's not random at all, because when you do tap, Instagram flips to the final story with the image stopped on a specific dish that they're marketing in this particular ad. And as the final video plays out, it pops up a reservation layout page with a swipe up call to action that will take you to that restaurant's specific reservation landing page. So while the viewer interacts with this ad and they think that, they randomly landed on tacos, really OpenTable targeted these tacos to this specific audience and offered a fun and easy interactive way for them to book reservations at their local taco shop that the ad is promoting. So you can see why having a deep understanding of how the platform actually works can be incredibly valuable for your marketing strategies. Not only can you create ads like this at a minimal cost, this didn't cost us much to create at all. It's some stock photos. And I think we spent 4 hours in a Facebook workshop designing it all out. They kind of push you there at Facebook to get things done, break things, work fast and break things is their motto. But you can design the user experience that your audience will have with your ads to drive engagement and maximize your ROI. And once you have these creative strategies in place, you can replicate these, with different targeting audience, new value propositions that kind of custom tailor them to your target audience specific needs. And that's actually we did that. We replicated this exact same idea. We were working in a workshop at Facebook for United Airlines, and we went in and basically pitched this exact same idea for their discounted winter tickets to Maui. They wanted a creative idea to sell their Maui tickets in the wintertime. So we said, hey, right away, we just said, what if we did this? We show all these various, destinations around the world, and it says, a 3-part video series in stories that says, tap to find out where your next vacation will be. It's just burning through that. You tap and it's just showing you all these different locations where you're going next, and you land on Maui when you tap. But really, they forced Maui on you with that 3rd screen, and lo and behold, there's reservations going to Maui. You could easily book them. It's discounted. What's really cool about it is they already know you were looking at Maui. It's Facebook. They have crazy, tracking, whether, it's through the application or maybe they're listening to you. We all don't know about that, but they know you're looking at Maui. And so they deliver you this ad that will take you to Maui, and, you feel like it's fate that you played their game and you landed on Maui, but, it's not fate at all. They forced this on you. So let's just keep running along here. There's been an interesting trend in the past few years where there's been an emergence of these new companies called digital native companies, where they've been built, almost entirely on the back of Facebook and Instagram ads. And the reason that they're able to scale so effectively and quickly is that they understand Facebook ads better than anyone else, and they're able to advertise better than the big companies that have multi-million-dollar budgets. And these companies aren't, selling anything new. We're talking about brands that sell shoes, mattresses, socks, and online courses, right? The products are nothing new to the economy, but yet what they're doing is new and wildly successful. So what is it that makes these companies, what is it that enables them to leap ahead of the bigger companies with the multi-million-dollar budget? Stay tuned, because that's exactly what we're going to be covering in this workshop. Now, since I'm going to be your instructor for this course, it'll probably help that, I'm not just a nameless face, and that I give you a quick background about myself and my experience. My name is Jacob, and I started out in the film and music production industry in San Francisco. What I found was, being a music producer, it opened up a lot of doors really quick for me, and it got my name out there in multiple industries. But I found out that there was a much higher demand and a much more lucrative opportunity to work in the film industry than anything I was doing on the music side. And since I had, a lot of connections in the scene, I was able to leverage those connections and start producing high-end films, explainer videos, and commercials for some of the biggest Silicon Valley tech companies like Eventbrite, Uber, Salesforce, Ericsson. We worked with a lot of the big tech companies. Eventually, I caught the right people's attention and landed a contract position over at Facebook, creating ads for their biggest advertisers like OpenTable, Cheetos, Pottery Barn, QuickBooks, United Airlines, basically anybody you could think of. The way that Facebook kind of works is bigger companies come to them and they use them as their creative ad agency and marketing agency. And they basically contract those roles out to companies like ours. At the time, it was just me. But our whole company basically scaled out of that contract, where the Facebook's demand for more creators from me grew, and I was able to bring in a bigger and bigger staff to support the growing role. So initially, our growing team was brought in as film and motion graphic designers, but we quickly learned everything there is to know about marketing on the Facebook and Instagram platforms, because we learned that the creative ideas and marketing strategies, they're intrinsically linked. You need both these things to work in harmony to produce positive results. And lucky for our team, we were taught from the very best within Facebook how the ad algorithm works, so that we could produce the best creative content, sales funnels, and marketing strategies to get our clients and their clients the maximum ROI with their marketing budgets. But what's important to know is that these strategies we've learned will work with not only major Fortune 500 brands that Facebook connected us with, but also mid-size and even smaller brands in their startup phase. And in fact, we really focus on working with the startup tech companies, because we just found that there's so much more room for growth by implementing strong Facebook ad strategies, just social media ad strategies. And, it gives us opportunity to really move the needle for smaller startup companies. If we do a big campaign for somebody like Salesforce, it might look great and it'll do the job. but are we really driving revenue that's noticeable in their eyes? Probably not when they're at that scale, but with the smaller companies, you can move the needle pretty big when you implement these strategies. So I'm a big fan of showing measurable outcomes when it comes to showing a client our ad strategies that we're going to be implementing on their marketing campaign. So before we dive in, I wanted to go through what you'll actually be learning in this workshop by completing it and fully understanding it. So one, why you need video ad strategy in 2021. Two, understanding Facebook's ad ecosystem. Three, learn the foundations and get behind the hood of how Facebook's ad auction really works. So this is the delivery mechanism that determines how everyone sees any ad on Facebook. And then I'm going to go through the steps to win at the ad auction and consistently get you better outcomes for less marketing budget. Four, we're going to learn how to build campaign structures that win with Facebook advertising. This is all about ad campaigns that get you big results at minimal costs. And five, we're going to learn what makes a creative ads on Facebook. So I'm going to share with you, what we did while working at Facebook on both the creative and marketing side for some of, the big Fortune 500 brands that we work with. And, what are the principles that you can replicate to make sure that you're competing with the best? So let's go over the top 3 reasons why you need video ad strategy for your company. 1, your customers are using it. Over 2 billion active users are on Facebook, and YouTube is the 2nd most viewed website in the world. So, video is just super important for the world that we're in now. 2, video captures the attention of your audience and boosts engagement over any other type of ad. It's the fastest way to grab and hold attention. Studies show that modern consumers make buying decisions in less than 3 seconds, and video is what you need to connect with those consumers on various platforms. 3, social media ads drive more conversions by tapping in to word of mouth marketing. A shared social media video is the oil of the digital world. This is the power of word of mouth marketing that is just so powerful in the marketing industry. This is what you want to get, is when people are sharing, and talking about your product. And right now with the whole COVID-19 pandemic, times that we're all in, people are seeking out that authentic human element in advertising, which makes organic reach and word of mouth marketing the 2 most authentic and effective ways to promote your brand and drive conversions. So moving on, this is just a quick little example of a video that we created for a client. And really, it's all about showing that you don't only just need brilliant creative to be effective, but you also need the right method to deliver that to your audience, right? And with something like Facebook and Instagram, you can build out the creatives in a strategic way and deliver it out and really track all those metrics and kind of continually optimize to get better outcomes as you go. Okay, so let's jump into the Facebook ad ecosystem. That's it. We'll get into it deeper. When we're thinking about advertising on Facebook, typically you would think about Facebook or Instagram newsfeed as where you're going to be putting your ads, but we're going to go into a quick little peek here. If you look over here on the right at the Facebook Ads Manager, you can see that there are dozens of unique placements that can be ran on Facebook and Instagram. The key takeaway here is that whether it's the newsfeed or Facebook Marketplace stories, or through search or anywhere else, there's so many different placements that you can advertise with Facebook. And we're not going to go into detail on the strategies of each ad placement on this workshop because we'd be here forever. That's for another time. But it's important that you understand that Facebook gives you many options to how you want to reach your target audience. Okay, so tracking. Dun, dun, dun. The infamous tracking. So what I do like about the ad ecosystem from Facebook is that it manages to track people through an increasingly complex decision-making pattern. So often now in the consumer journey, people are experiencing an advertiser through multiple touch points, whether it's via mobile, then later on a browser or an app. And eventually the user will perform a specific action that the advertiser is after, whether it's a purchase or a lead or a webinar sign up or whatever they're trying to get. But something Facebook is able to do exceptionally well is that it's able to track identities over multiple devices and channels, and they're able to see a single individual's journey. so that you can serve your audience the right amount of relevant ads if you understand how to leverage the platform. So this is campaign objectives. Everything in Facebook's ad ecosystem really starts with the campaign objective. A campaign objective is the first thing you're prompted to do in the ads manager when you launch into a campaign. And one of the common issues here is that there's dozens of objectives, so it's hard to pick the right one. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is to make sure you choose this decision correctly, because your campaign objective acts as an instruction manual for the campaign itself. It's telling the system exactly what you're trying to get out of an ad campaign, and this informs in terms of who you should be targeting to make what specific action, and this will kind of work towards getting you outcomes basically at the least amount of ad spend possible. So a quick note on this, what you'll see here is that as the campaign objectives go from left to right, they get increasingly more expensive. So awareness campaigns are for broad targeting at a cheaper price. Your warm audience is your consideration-based campaign. And then when you get into conversion campaigns, those are your hottest audience, but they're also the most expensive to advertise to. So let's get into the Facebook ad auction. Not that guy. Okay. In this next section, we're going to go over the Facebook ad auction, and we're going to start from the foundation of explaining exactly how it works, why it's important, and then we're going to go over the principles teaching you what you need to know so you can consistently win at the ad auction at the lowest prices possible. But I'll start by saying this: every single ad that gets delivered through the Facebook ad ecosystem goes through an auction, and this is an opportunity for advertisers to compete against each other for the right to show someone an ad impression. So what is it? There's an algorithm at work here, right? And I think the simplest way to understand it is that this machine learning algorithm is always trying to balance advertiser value at the same time trying to balance its value for the Facebook user. Really, it's beneficial for Facebook to balance these two so the advertiser can get a lot of value out of it, but you're not bombarding people with irrelevant ads, right? They want to keep their users on the platform at all times and having a good experience. And this is probably why, if you're bald, you're not going to be getting shampoo ads, right? They know how to balance it and track you so that you're getting the right ads for the right user. So everybody wins. That's what they're trying to do with this algorithm. Okay, so let's look at a very simplified example here. The Facebook ad auction, it's literally an auction that businesses are competing to win at the right to show their ad to a user on Facebook. So let's pretend this guy here is on Facebook scrolling through his feed, and he's about to be shown an ad, right? So who gets the right to show them their ad? Well, like a traditional auction where every business goes in with an actual bid, let's say it's a dollar amount that they're willing to pay, right? Well, a traditional auction, the highest bid amount is the one who wins the auction and wins the right to show their ad to this guy. Now, in a typical ad auction like Google pay-per-click, it is the highest dollar amount who wins the bid. But on Facebook, they're really prioritizing that positive user experience for both their users and advertisers over ad revenue. And this introduces various factors that you need to know about when competing in the ad auction. The good news is that the ad algorithm levels the playing field for smaller companies to come in and win bids over companies with much larger advertising budgets. Chances are you're not going to outspend a company like Salesforce or Nabisco. But if you can optimize your ads and create something that the user actually wants to see and will interact with, then you can really get better results for less investment. So when we look at how the ad auction works, Facebook is ranking each advertiser and giving them what they call a total value score. So when you have multiple advertisers that are competing to show their ad to the same user, it's the advertiser with the highest total value score that wins the auction and is given the opportunity to show them their ad. And the key to Facebook advertising is knowing what that total value score comprises of. What we've learned is that it breaks down to this formula that we've kind of mocked up here, and that is advertiser bid times estimated action rates plus user value equals total value score. And the first one here is advertiser bid. It's the one that it's what advertisers are willing to pay to show someone an ad to achieve a desired outcome. So this one, works similar to a traditional auction where you're attempting to outbid others in order to win. And what's unique about Facebook is that they give you various bid strategies that you can choose from to improve your chance of winning. We won't go into that. That's a whole nother topic. They actually go into that on the Facebook website to help you out. But there are different ways that an advertiser can bid. But this, essentially works like an actual auction where, it's the dollar amount that's going to give you that high score. But where things get interesting, though, is, over here, with what Facebook calls estimated action rates. And essentially what this is Facebook assigns you a ranking based on the probability your ad will cause your audience to take a desired action that you've optimized for in your campaign. So if you're running an ad that is optimized for website conversions, Facebook would show your ad to people it deems likely to sign up for a product like yours. Facebook determines this based on previous actions from both the person in your target audience, something like how many times they've signed up for a product through Facebook ads. And it also determines your ad's previous performance. How many website conversions has your current ads or past ads received so far? So if your ads have a high conversion rate, then Facebook rewards you with better estimated action rates. And this is something you really want to pay attention to, because if your estimated action rates are low, Facebook will have to compensate by increasing your bid amount, which will cause you to spend more money to win at the ad auction. Also, recent activity on your ads, like shares, comments, video views, likes, etc., are all taken into account to contribute to your estimated action rate. Now, this works in the opposite direction too, where the more negative feedback you get, it gets you the worse your score will be. And what we've found out, by working at Facebook is the weight that Facebook actually puts on negative feedback versus positive. So if you get one negative comment, someone unlikes your page or blocks your ad or calls it irrelevant, they let Facebook know that they've hidden your ad. This is about 10 times worse than a positive like, share, or comment. So you really want to avoid things like clickbait, obnoxious hooks, just obnoxious ads in general, low quality ads, because even though it might work to grab people's attention, or it might save you a buck, it's really going to bring negative attention and cause you a huge drop in your estimated action rate scores. But if you've got great account history, you're really attentive to your user comments, and you get lots of user likes, shares, and positive, feedback in general, and really your product is really well matched to your target audience that you're trying to get, your estimated action rate score will go up, and the cost per acquisition will decrease because you're winning more auctions at lower price points. And the final piece here is the ad, it's called user value. So this score is determined by the experience a user has after they click your ad. This is Facebook's way of making sure that the ad auction isn't just about getting advertisers results, but it holds the advertisers accountable for delivering value towards users. User value is all about the quality of the user experience. Facebook doesn't want to bombard people with low quality, irrelevant ads. So it uses signals from within the platform to determine how useful and relevant the ad is, and even something like the sales funnel is to your target audience. Facebook is looking at metrics like click-through rates, view-through rates, comments, shares, likes. They're also looking at negative signals, like if people are blocking your ad, that's going to hurt your user value as well. Also, they're looking at the frequency to determine your score based on how high your frequency is. If your frequency is too high, meaning you're showing your ad to the same people too many times, that signals to Facebook that these people are getting bombarded with your ads way too many times, and that is a bad user experience. And I'm sure we've all been there where you've seen the ad over and over, and eventually people are going to opt out of that. Well, that's going to hurt you with your overall user or your user value. Also, what's important to know about Facebook is that it also tracks your user value off platform, meaning that they're looking for how relevant your web pages or your landing pages are that you're pointing to. Because if your ad is great, but your sales funnel or your landing page is just trash, your ad campaign is going to suffer. However, if you can offer tons of value once the user clicks away from your ad and they stick around and they browse your sales funnel, or they click into your website, they spend a lot of time there, or they take the action that you're designating, right? So they sign up for that webinar, or they purchase that item. This is going to greatly increase your user value score. And that's why it's really important here to also avoid clickbait techniques, and just make sure that your message is speaking directly to a highly interested target audience. And we've got a whole course on this called Social Flex, which is about keeping a consistent message through all platforms of your advertising sales funnel. And we dive into how really the landing page is what closes these customers, right? The ad itself isn't what closes it. It's really the landing page, and you want those entities to really talk to each other and provide that positive user experience to close more people. But that'll be for another webinar maybe down the road. But it's not just good enough to have good ads and sales funnel. You also need to make sure that you're showing your ads to the right people. And if you have good audience targeting, it means that those people are more likely to give positive signals towards your ads, and that'll factor into your overall user value score. Now, when we factor all of these scores in together, we get the formula here that gets you your total value score. And this is the amount that you have to go into the auction with. So basically, this is your bid amount that determines whether you win or lose the auction. Now, as you can see, only one of the components here are about what you're willing to spend. 2/3 of the components are about your historical ad performance and how much value you're offering to the users on the platform. So this means that there's a lot of opportunity here to win the auction without paying more. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on, how to win the auction and compete with the big guys by actually spending less, but kind of front loading it with positive ads and positive overall user experience. Okay, so that was a quick rundown of behind the scenes, but what's really important to understand is when you look at the most sophisticated and the best advertisers on Facebook, there is something that they understand really well, because once you understand how the formula works, you can basically exploit it and use it to your advantage. So now that we know how the ad algorithm works in a sense, what are the steps that you can take to win at the auction? One of the most important things you can do, this actually is, so I put this slide up because this is a local campaign that we're running for a local real estate client. And what's really cool about Facebook, they actually introduced these quality ratings, engagement rating, and conversion rating. This is kind of those 3 value scores that they put into the business manager that you can go through. And so you can see here that for this one, we've got above average on conversion ratings. This one actually did really well for us. Engagement ratings really good. We got tons of likes and shares. Our quality ranking actually is below average, and there's actually a reason for that. It's because this was a broad targeting top of funnel campaign. We weren't really going for a specific audience. We're just kind of broad blanketing at the top of the funnel in order to gather more data and get a highly targeted audience for a more expensive campaign down the line. So that's why this is a little bit below average on that. But just wanted to give you a little quick preview of that. Okay, so let's go into the perfect Facebook ad structure. So now that we've gone over how the ad auction works and how you can optimize your campaigns to win, let's dive into how to set up a perfect Facebook ad structure for something like lead generation. So this is the full funnel tactical cheat sheet that we've designed out. So if you want to generate leads for your business, you need to really optimize that the majority of your first-time visitors to your website, they're not going to buy just because they see your ad once, right? People go through a process called the buyer's journey, where they're first introduced to your brand, service, or product, and then they do some research about it, they evaluate other options, and then they make a purchasing decision, down the line. Now, what's happening is when they first go to your website, after clicking on your ad, there's still a lack of trust in you. It's the first time they've seen you. So they have to learn a little bit more about you. So they're trying to familiarize themselves with exactly what is your offer, who you are, and why they would want to purchase from somebody, like you, and what your offer is. What makes you different? What makes you stand out? There's also a lack of urgency. They're thinking, why can't I just buy this tomorrow? This happens with me all the time. I'll see a course for, maybe color grading or something like that. It's in the back of my mind, but it's really, like something like an email retargeting campaign or, consistent advertising that finally makes me take that step. So it's not the first time you see it. It's really down this kind of funnel that you need to walk people through. So the opportunity here from a message perspective is that you want to establish, what the problem is and what you do and what problem you solve for your target audience. So real quick, I wanted to show a smaller local client that we're able to get amazing results for by understanding the Facebook ad ecosystem and how to use the multiple campaign objectives to your advantage. It's 12. Oh, okay. I'm just looking at time here. I'm going to keep burning through this and we're going to get as much done as we can. So we're not really in the real estate industry. We're mostly in tech, but I really wanted to focus on like kind of a smaller local client that we're working with to show you that, you don't need to do this for a specific industry or, Fortune 500 companies. You can do this at the local level. And that's why I wanted to highlight this local real estate agency that we worked with. Their company margins are pretty high for each flip. They actually are flipping houses. They're taking distressed houses, revamping them, refixing them up, and flipping them for profit. So when we reached out, or when they reached out to us to help them scale their business, we came up with a marketing strategy that took a 3-stage approach to social media advertising. And the reason we wanted to advertise in stages on a platform like Facebook is because each campaign objectives works like a funnel that leads people, your audience, one step closer to taking an action. And since this client is trying to get somebody to sell them their house off market, that's kind of a tough thing to convince people of. So this is why it's a really great reason why it's so important to understand Facebook's ad ecosystem so you can utilize the various campaign objectives to lead people ever closer to a buying decision, especially when it's or in this case, a selling decision. So we've got some of the ad here. We revamped a previous ad that we did for a nail company. And if you're from Santa Cruz, you probably noticed this house. It's the Redmond house out in Watsonville. So as you can see here, we kicked off the first stage with our ad campaign with an attention-grabbing creative that was meant to maximize viewers at the lowest cost possible. The ad itself, basically costs next to nothing to produce, and we launched it as a reach-based campaign, which is the least expensive objective to get the maximum views on this particular ad. The important thing to know here about this ad, it was designed to stand out specifically on Facebook and Instagram. Here's the Instagram one here. And the idea of it, as you can see, is we remocked up the Facebook UI and the Instagram UI. And when it plays out, you're seeing this spider kind of pop out over the Facebook UI. And when you see it on your phone, it looks like the spider is crawling on your phone. We got a lot of reactions of people, freaked out. Or another thing that we did with this particular ad, since it's a local based ad, we wanted to shoot an iconic place that would get a lot of attention. And the combination of the spider popping out and the fact that this is a local recognizable building, if you've seen it off of Highway 1, we got so much engagement on this. People are sharing the history behind it. People are, saying, tear it down. People are saying, support it, keep it going, all kinds of stuff. I mean, the ad, eventually, it just killed it for us. So and this is another one that we ran on the Instagram Stories platform in parallel, all at the same time. So this is our winning ad that we got. If you notice down here, you'll see these are the actual metrics. These are the fake metrics that we mocked up, but the actual metrics actually did really well. So this is what we call top of the sales funnel ad. The strategy here was to put this at the top of the sales funnel and basically gather as much information as we could and as much data and audience as we could to then go down and retarget people with either an email retargeting campaign, another a conversion-based campaign where you're going to spend more money, but you want to spend more money talking to the right people. So this ad did really well, as you can see. 97 comments, 66 shares, almost 100K views, 247 positive reactions. A lot of people to retarget with this. And when you can go into Facebook and you can say, okay, we got almost 100,000 views on it. We can retarget all the people who view that, or we can retarget all the people who watched maybe 50% of the ad, right? So now if we're launching another campaign at a more expensive price point, right? We're launching a conversion campaign for people to take a specific action. We're not targeting all of Santa Cruz anymore, right? We're targeting 55,000 people who have watched this ad up to 50%. So you want to spend your money smartly on that. Just as the sake of time, I'm kind of burn through some of this and go a little quicker. This is the second stage of the funnel. As you can see here, this is our warm traffic campaign. What you want to do in the warm traffic campaign, and what we did was we have a more detailed message that we spent a little bit more time and energy on. We actually went out and shot with the owner of the company. We produced, a local Santa Cruz commercial. They had to spend a little bit more money to get this thing produced. And, you're spending a little more money on your warm traffic campaign, but you're not speaking to everybody at this point. This is middle of funnel. You're now speaking to whoever you want to, dial in on your targeting, right? So it's worth it to spend the money correctly as opposed to top of funnel. You want to spend your money right in the middle of funnel with a more, a better message that people are going to watch. Maybe people aren't going to watch a 3-minute video, but they will watch a 3-minute video if they're already interested and they showed interest in this. So that's the idea behind this one. And basically what we do is we go in and we offer an ebook that we created for our client that they can read more about selling off market. And to do that, we get people's emails to opt in. So typical lead generation campaign that we ran for this middle of funnel. Then we'll just go into quickly. This is a sales funnel breakdown. You might know about sales funnels or not, but basically you go in, we have highlighted Facebook and Instagram here. They see an ad, they go ahead and opt in to get a specific item, which for us, it was an ebook in this. Now we've got, I think we got like 50,000 emails for this. Then they go into an email drip campaign where they run that over the course of 6 months. And then now we have all this information to retarget them with different ads as we go. So over the course of 6 months, the client actually, here's a little example of our sales funnel, but the client actually ended up, client actually ended up selling 5 houses with this. So they ran this for 6 months. I think they netted like 350,000 on 80K in overall marketing budget. So they crushed it on this. They actually just re-signed up with us for another 6-month campaign. And I would too, if I was making, 4X, 5X ROI. So let me go in another 5 minutes and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. And you guys can stop me if we want to jump into Q&A, just feel free to pipe in. But a couple things I want to touch on here is that what's really beneficial in Facebook is you want to have both still image and video image creatives. And the reason behind this is you want to give Facebook enough variation so that it can deliver your ad sets out and give people what they want to see. Some people will like video more. Some people will like still image more, depending on what platform they're watching it on. But really, you don't want to burn people out with your ads, right? So you don't want to just launch one ad out and just call it a day. You want to give Facebook and the algorithm variation to continually give people new ads so that they're not just seeing one particular ad all the time until the point that they're burned out on it and they click, never show me this ad again, get out of my face. You want to avoid that. So here's some examples of clients that we worked with that we did campaigns for. And I just wanted to briefly touch on some of the ideas that we did in these ads. This first one is for the shoe company Zappos. And some of the things that we did is early branding up front and consistent branding throughout. You want to design your ads to be sound off because 80% of people are watching these on mobile and they're not actually having the sound on. With social media ads, you might or not know, but you want to have this kind of quick pacing throughout, right? You want to actually restructure your messaging. A typical TV ad is going to have the message or the crux of the message come in later. Facebook or Instagram, you want to hit it right up front, right? So you want to get the most powerful message in front of their face right away. So the story arc kind of changes. And what we did, we designed this out to kind of interact with the environment that people are used to, right? You have this scrolling effect that people are used to on mobile. So it just feels comfortable when people view this ad from Zappos. This is one that we did for Tide. This one was with stories, and we played with the progress bar, as you can see here. And it's kind of a before and after. We've done this a lot. And as the progress bar goes, it just wipes the shirt clean, right? So it's just one of those creative ads that it'll stick with people. It's just a creative way of doing some advertising. This one was done for Wall Street Journal. This is similar to how we built out the open table ad. We're playing with the carousel effect. And what it is 2 still image creatives that says the Wall Street Journal. You have kind of half a story. You have to click through to get to the next one. Well, it does this kind of swipe, and it's a seamless cut the way we built it, and you're still not seeing the whole story. And then it goes into Wall Street Journal, get the whole story, right? So some creative advertising there. I've got a couple more of these. I'll just show these real quick, and then we'll go into Q&A. This one's kind of cool. We didn't actually do these 3. These are ones that I just really liked. So this one says, "What's in the box?" And what's cool about it is the way that they built it. They actually mocked up right here. This is part of the video ad, right? But they recreated the landing page that you're going to go see. So it's like, okay, swipe the box up, and it just prompts you to swipe the box up to see, oh, what's this, alcohol in the box, and then it takes you to that landing page. Pretty clever, I thought. This one's from Honda. I don't know how they did this really, but it's pretty clever. I'm sure I could reverse engineer it and try and figure out a way, but she's pulling these things off of the ad itself and putting them into the trunk of her car. And then you got Honda, it just stands out. This is a cool way of using Instagram stories to use split screens. We actually did something like this for Sephora. I think I actually just copied this whole idea. Theirs was better though. So I wanted to show it. So ways you can play with split screens. And that's basically us. We are called Concept. We're over on River Street. We're based out of San Francisco, but we opened up this cool little video that we flew with the drone. This is us. We just put this sign up because now we're located in Santa Cruz with our new downtown office. And I'd love just to connect with more people on here. If anybody wants to chat with us, I got a lot more to talk about. As you can see, I'm probably already going over. But I'd love just to chat with people. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them over, and I could help field some of those questions for you guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Jacob. I want to ask a question just because it kind of leads into what you just mentioned. Why did you move to Santa Cruz? Why from San Francisco to Santa Cruz for your office?
That's a great question. I had children. Yeah, so I did, we were living right in the heart of San Francisco, my wife and I. We didn't have cars or anything like that, riding the train everywhere. It's a blast when, you're in dating phase and newly married. But just for us living right in the heart of the city, we had our firstborn in 2017, and basically did a full year of that, and just decided like, hey, having kids, we wanted to actually have them in Santa Cruz. I'm originally from Santa Cruz. I grew up surfing. I grew up on the east side of town in Pleasure Point. My brother's here, my sister's here, my family's here, and we wanted to give our kids that opportunity just to grow up surfing kind of like I did. One of my fears was leaving San Francisco. We still kept our office up there, and there was a reason behind that, because being a digital marketing agency and a film producer, you kind of need to be connected with the scene in San Francisco. That was my thought, especially at the time. But with the whole COVID world that we're in now, everybody's working remote, and it doesn't even matter anymore. People, that whole perception of you have to be in the scene or one of us up here, it's kind of gone. So it was a great place to connect and get into the Silicon Valley scene, but we're kind of connected with that now. So it was time to make the move to Santa Cruz, and I'm so happy we did.
Yeah, no, we definitely are too. Before we move on to the questions, just to kind of want to continue on the space. It's more the space that you created in downtown. It's more not just for Concept, but you're also engaging in other video producers and creatives, correct?
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up. We are. So we've got a pretty, and you can see in the running video here, we've got the whole bottom unit of this building on River Street, and it's pretty big. You've been here, you did that little interview with us. So we're trying to build this out with more creative individuals. And the thought process behind that is, we all build off of each other. I know I certainly did. This whole company wasn't created with just me. It's learning from other people. It's learning from Facebook. We, brought in my business partner, who's a brand strategist and just a wizard at marketing. And his name's James. He's on this call. And so we really learn off of each other, and we excel together. Me as a freelancer, I could only push it so far. It wasn't until I started bringing in more of a team and connecting with more people that, you just burst through those ceilings, right? And you take your company to the next level. So that's the idea behind our creative space here, is we want to bring in more people, right? We brought in another company called Pitch Hub. They're working out of here, as well as Brick House Media, another production company here in Santa Cruz. And it's great just to connect with people who are doing similar or maybe slightly different things. They flowed us business, we flowed them business, because there's different, values that we offer. We've actually got a web designer in here now. We've got another guy named Andy who worked at YouTube. He's in here now, and he's doing a lot of, connected us with some live streaming stuff. So we want to keep reaching out to more creative individuals, web designers, marketers, film producers. If you're in the industry and you want a creative space to work out of, definitely contact us. It would be great just to meet more like-minded individuals and kind of all grow together. That's the idea we have.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's get into the questions. First question, can you talk about the length of the video for a Facebook ad? Is there a sweet spot for timing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think really that depends on what phase of the marketing funnel that you're in. So if I go back to this one, for example, let me go to this one we did for trade and real estate. So this was top of funnel. And these ones were really short. We tried to make these 15 seconds long. And because you're trying to reach out to a cold audience, right? You want as many people to see these and share them. These people might not want to watch a 3-minute long, or let's say a 1-minute long video, which is more of a sweet spot for storytelling. They might not want to watch that as much, right? But you want to figure out who does want to watch that. So you launch out a cold funnel to get as many interactions as you can with a shorter campaign. And that's when you go in, and we go through here, you get your winning ad, you get your traffic, and then you launch a longer based video. And so this is our more storytelling, video. And this thing, I think it we actually ended up altering, but in the end, it ran about 1 minute long. It's designed out, with sound off, you got your captions in here. You got your branding. This is the brand colors. It's a really great way to show consistent messaging all the way across. And this is a longer form video because now you've got a more interested audience who's going to take the time to watch that video. And then, as you go through the sales funnel, you can go all the way into, an even longer form video that you could have in your landing page. And this one is full of, testimonials, more detailed about what the messaging is behind the company. And that could be like a 3 to 4 minute video that lives on your landing page. And typically what we do is we try to knock these all out in one shot, right? So if we're doing an ad campaign or a marketing campaign with somebody and we're doing the production side of it, we're going to go and shoot all of these hopefully in 1 or 2 sessions, right? But all of this is in mind. Your whole marketing strategy is in mind when you're going into it. So you're not saying, let's shoot this portion of it, and then 2 months later, let's shoot this portion of it, right? You're knocking it all out at once. And what you're getting is a 4-minute video for your landing page. You're getting a 1-minute video for middle of funnel, and you're getting a 30-second video for top of funnel, right? And you want to get that all done in one shot. And that's just another way of having people get the maximum ROI out of their marketing budget.
Great, thank you. Very well answered. Okay, it looks like our Q&A is actually working. So if you have a question for Jacob, put it in the Q&A and we can get it answered. So first we're going to go to Andrew O'Keefe. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? His question is, what advice would you give to clients in the nonprofit sector who are seeking growing online audiences while at the same time hesitant to put resources behind an ad budget?
Okay, yeah. So nonprofit, so you're not having the major budgets to work with.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you can advertise on Facebook for relatively cheap. There are some strategic tricks of the trade that you can use. Let's say you have a brand new Facebook presence for your brand and you have no likes or anything like that, right? You can do organic, obviously organic social media posting, but at first, you're not going to get a lot of attention to that is the problem, right? So Facebook likes to see if you're going to advertise that you've got a little bit of presence, you got people interested in you. So what we do for a client that has no presence at all, and they want to start getting some interaction with them, we'll actually launch out what's called like a like campaign, where we'll put a specific message out there that says like, like if you, I don't know, share the feeling of wanting to help others, right? Or something local to your community, and you could just put out a positive message out there and put minimal ad spend. I'm talking about like $100 over the course of 3 weeks, and people will see that message, and you could launch it out there, and you could gain maybe 300 to 400 likes on your page, in the course of like a week or two. And that's going to really set you up nicely with Facebook to then, now you're legitimized by Facebook. You've got 400 people liking your page. Now, when you go advertise, this goes back into the ad algorithm. They're going to give you a better user value score and estimated action rates, because you look the part, you look legit. You don't look like some guy that just started some brand new company. So now when you go out and you do organic posting, or you do ad budgets at $5 a day, you're going to win those ad auctions at way cheaper price points, right? So people are going to see those messages, and you're going to only spend, maybe $100 in that month, as opposed to if you just start completely cold, you're going to have to spend so much money to get the algorithm to like kind of kick in and trust you, and to get your message out there. So I hope I answered that, Andrew, and we could totally talk about that later on, but there are strategic ways of doing it with organic outreach to minimal to next to nothing. And we actually do that for Rascals. We're doing all these ad strategies where we're launching ad campaigns and running them for them. But at the same time, we're working in parallel on the organic side. And we're constantly kicking out, just videos from around town, or, some skateboard kid doing an ollie wearing a Rascals helmet. They're not high production value. We save those for their ad campaigns. But you want to always be consistent with getting those messages out there, and just, letting people interact with your brand and like it, right? So that's kind of our strategy that we do for on the organic side, which is, we charge for it because we're an ad agency, but if you're doing it yourself, it's totally free.
Yeah, great. Okay, got some questions here. I got Adam and Alex, and another one from Adam. So let's go to the first one. How does Facebook know about the quality of my landing page?
They can, so they go in and they can see how many people and how long people are landing on that landing page, right? So if you've got a landing page and people are going to it and instantly exiting, that's a really bad sign. And they're going to look at that and say, this either the messaging isn't consistent, right? Like if you're trying to sell, socks, and they land on that page and they land on the shoes portion of that, right? And they're like, these aren't the socks I want. They're going to bounce right off of it. Or maybe you're using a platform like Facebook doesn't particularly like things like ClickFunnels, or especially if you have ClickFunnels set up without your own URL, like you're literally using a ClickFunnels URL. I think people abuse that over time, and there's lots of spammy tactics out there. They're just lower quality typically. So if you have irrelevant messaging and people are not staying on your landing page and they're instantly bouncing, that's the biggest red flag for Facebook. So you want to make sure, and this is what we go into with our Social Flex webinar that we're going to, we kind of built out and we want to do is like the consistency from your ads to your landing page all has to be one consistent message, so that journey that they take is very relevant, that the user is getting what they're expecting on the other side of the landing page. And that there's lots of factors of how well it's built out, how clear and concise the messaging is. I mean, you could have a landing page that's totally consistent with your ad message, but if they can't find how to actually purchase, or they get cluttered up in all this, we've all been on bad websites. Our attention spans are very limited these days. Yeah. So if you go on a website that's just like cluttered in text, copy, and inconsistent messaging, even if there is a way to purchase and you can't find it, or you're just over it, you're gonna bail out of there. Facebook's gonna recognize that, and they're gonna see that either one, people are bailing out really early, that's bad. Two, you're not actually converting anything. Nobody's actually purchasing your product. That's bad too, right? So you want to make sure that that's all consistent all the way through, and you're offering that positive user experience off the Facebook platform too, because they are tracking that.
Great. You mentioned Social Flex, that course. Is that available now, or it's something in the works?
It's kind of available. James will be teaching that, my business partner. But yeah, I mean, it could be. It's basically all slided out. We just have to go over it a little bit
Okay.
and polish it.
Okay. Okay. Here's the next one from Alex. Can you make sure to cover the recent iOS tracking changes and how this is affecting your results, especially new retargeting, custom audience campaigns started post update?
Yeah. So with iOS 14, it definitely it hampers people who are that don't have a lot of knowledge about it. And so it depends on what industry you're in. The weird thing about iOS 14 for an agency like ourselves, if you're an ad agency offering this out to clients, it kind of helps you. iOS 14, it does put roadblocks up, and it makes it confusing for your average Facebook user to dive in and really get the results that they're looking for, right? So if you're, like my sister does, she sells nails through one of those like multi-marketing companies. She was doing it really well with Facebook until they introduced iOS 14. And then all of a sudden there's these roadblocks. They're saying that, hey, people are opting out. They're not tracking. You have to go into Facebook and get your tracking different ways. And you really have to know what you're doing. It's very complex. So she reached out to me and said, hey, what happened? I lost all of my stuff. So me knowing it and working at Facebook, and one of the biggest benefits we have with my connection and my working at Facebook for all the years is we have weekly calls with Facebook. So our agency is a preferred partner with Facebook. So we get to jump on weekly calls with the Facebook, ad management and marketing teams. So any question we have, we could say, hey, I got this nail company. They lost all their tracking and all their data on this. How do we solve that, right? So we jumped in with Facebook, figured out what are the roadblocks that they're hitting. It's confusing, but you got to go in with iOS 14, and now you have to verify your domain, right? You have to add new snippets of code onto websites so that even if they opt out, they can still track you a different way. So Facebook's figured all this stuff out, but it just made it really hard for everybody else, which in turn made it really good for a company like ours, because now we have exponentially more value that we can offer. And so it's like a double-edged sword where somebody like my sister, she kind of got screwed over because she, isn't going to take the time, or she doesn't know how to figure it out, right? So she reached out to us. We figured it out for her, got her better results in the end. And this is another thing about iOS 14 is it kind of cleared out a lot of the noise, right? So there's a lot of advertisers out there that were, just thinking they could easily advertise to whoever they want and track them and do the sales funnel, things like that, right? Well, now they can't do that as easy. So they're gone, they're off the platform. So what happened was companies that know how to do it and they know how to be strategic about it, well, your ad spend just went way down because you don't have, millions of users that were cluttering up the platform anymore. They're all wiped out, they're gone. People like my sister would just be like, well, this doesn't work. I'll move on to something else, or I'll go back to meeting at coffee shops like I was doing, right? So they're all gone. So our ad agencies are saying, cool, this platform is ripe for the picking. Now we can spend half as much as we were doing, and we're getting way broader reach, and we're hitting way more people for minimal values. So like I said, iOS 14 is a double-edged sword. It cleared a lot of people out. It made it very confusing for a lot of people, but if you understand it, it was kind of a good thing. And if you want to offer that out to your client, definitely explore, how to get around iOS 14. And the one other thing I will say about it is with tracking, people who opt out of tracking, they're not necessarily doing themselves a benefit, because we live in a world that you're going to be advertised to no matter what, right? So if you're bald and you say, oh, I don't want to be tracked anymore, let me opt out. Well, now you're going to be getting Pantene Pro V commercials, right? Well, really, you should be getting hair grow commercials, right? That's what you need. So by opting in and keeping yourself the tracking on, it's actually a good thing, because there's a lot of relevant ads. And I've seen that, I know my wife's seen it. It's like, I bought stuff off Facebook. I bought courses off Facebook. I bought children's things off Facebook, there's some cool stuff out there. So if they're tracking you and they know who you are, that's a benefit. So, iOS 14 is an interesting thing. In the end, it's kind of a benefit. It was a big benefit for our company. And it can be for you too, if you take the time to learn it. It doesn't kill your tracking. It just puts some roadblocks up that you have to figure out how to work around.
Wait a minute, did you say you bought a horse off Facebook?
No, a horse? No. What did I buy off Facebook? I
Oh, I
bought.
thought I heard a
his-
horse. Okay, never mind. Move on to the next one.
That would be
Hear me
cool.
out. Yeah. Okay. So we're already past our hour. There's a couple of great questions. So I just want to spend a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'll stay on.
Okay, cool. So I think this kind of going along with our last question about you have an experienced ad agency compared to someone that's doing it by themselves. I think this question is probably from a small business. They say, do you have a rule of thumb on ad spend? If you have a small budget, say only $10 a day, is it even worth doing?
I guess it depends on what is the cost you're willing to spend to get that acquisition, right? So if you're spending $10 a day and it's netting you, 3 new customers, and you look at that and you're spending, $5 a customer, well, what is your what is your total revenue that you're going to bring in off of that, right? What's your profit off of that? How much are you willing to spend to acquire that customer at that lower price point, right? But with Facebook, it's exponential. The more you put into it, the better, obviously, results you're going to get. So as an agency, no, we wouldn't take on a client that spends $10 a day. It's going to take too long to get them the metrics that they're looking for generally, right? You need to come in and you need to put money behind it so you can get your basically your total value score up enough. And then obviously there's, as we mentioned, there's lots of things that contribute to that. But one of those things is definitely an ad spend. As a single one-off business, I think $10 a day could work depending on what your campaign objective is. I will say that for one of our local clients, it was a realtor. We did spend $10 a day on a like campaign, right? So we put it out there that like, hey, are you interested in X, or do you like this? Like the page to find out more. That was pretty cheap, right? We spent $10 a day, and in the course of that month-long campaign, he got like 400 likes. And the whole reason behind that was to legitimize his new Facebook page, so then we could really put more money into it and advertise. So it really depends on what your campaign objective is, and what you want your outcomes to be. But typically, an agency probably wouldn't do a $10 a day ad spend. That was a friend that we did it for, so we did it because we had a specific goal in mind. But if you're trying to like really sell at $10 a day, it's going to be tough. Not that it can't be done, but it's just going to be, you're not putting your foot on the gas really when it comes to marketing.
Okay, thank you. Instagram. We have a couple questions about Instagram. Any tips, suggestions? Do we run the same ads on Facebook as we do on Instagram? Anything about Instagram that you could share?
Yeah, typically I would say, and I think I'm still screen sharing here, right?
I don't think so, actually.
Oh, I'm not. Okay, let me go back to share. Is that going to like kick anybody out?
I think we're fine.
Okay,
Yep,
is that sharing now?
Your screen. Yep.
Okay, so Instagram, typically they're the same ads. There are reasons why you would do it differently though. One is Instagram obviously only lets you advertise a minute, right? So if you've got a 3-minute ad or even a 1 and 15-second long ad, and it has to be a 1:15 long second, you don't want to put that out on Instagram because you're going to cut off maybe your call to action at the end, right? So that's something to consider. So just understanding the platform is something to consider. We try and keep our ads around a minute, typically, even if it's a storytelling ad. We save our longer form ads more for landing pages where you have a hot audience that's wanting to kind of really dive in with you. Most of the time, I would say you can launch them the same. Now, the biggest difference here that I highlighted here is these particular ads that you see. One is Instagram, one is Facebook. Obviously, these have to be built different, right? Because one is mocking up a Facebook UI and one is mocking up an Instagram UI. If you just launched one, and you have to do this by launching two different ad sets. You can't put them both in one ad set if you know anything about how the ad sets and campaigns work. You have to launch them separately, because if you want to launch them the same, you can put them in the ad set and just click, okay, Instagram feed and Facebook feed in one ad set. Now, if you want to launch, and this is what we had to do for this one, we had to build out a specific ad for Facebook, and then build out a specific ad for Instagram. Put them in 2 different ad sets and say, this one only goes to Facebook feed, and this one only goes to Instagram feed, right? And then what we'll also do is we'll build out these kind of ads, what you see right here on Instagram or Facebook, right? And these are specifically for stories. And you don't want to put that in the same ad set and just launch. You wouldn't want to see this on the platform of Instagram feed, right? Just like you wouldn't want to see this one that's built out for the feed on Instagram stories. You have to be, I would say it's more important to focus on the platform, the way that you're, the platform that you're advertising on, as opposed to like the app, right? Focus more on that, because feed is very different than stories, which is different than Messenger. And, that's what you want to focus on. Typically, I'd say you can launch Instagram and Facebook, side by side, as long as you're taking into consideration the length of time.
Great. Okay, well, I feel like we can go all day here, but I just actually got even somebody on LinkedIn that asked me how to connect with you because they want to, talk to you about a certain marketing program they have. How could our listeners, how could our viewers get a hold of you and reach out to you? What's the best way to do so?
Yeah, let me, I think in the chat here, I can just put my email address, or company email address.
Perfect.
So,
and we'll also be recording this video, and this video is recording, and we'll put it on santacruzworks.org in the next couple of days, and it'll be in our newsletter, and we'll have all the information at the bottom as well. So
yeah, and I put that in there. I'll just say it's info@conceptsf.com or jacob@conceptsf.com. If you reach out, we're actually doing, we've got like an ad funnel cheat sheet that we've built out. And it's kind of, we went into depth on what the sales funnel and how to build out strategic ads, right? We built out our own little cheat sheet, and we use it as a lead generator for our own advertising. When we launch Facebook ad campaigns, it's a way that we collect emails so we can then retarget to them with our email campaigns that we run, and just gather emails for future retargeting. But it's our lead generator, and I'll offer that out to you. So if anybody wants to email me, shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd like to check out that Facebook ads cheat sheet. It's really helpful. If you want to build out your own ads, you could do it inexpensive. This will just kind of help you figure out exactly how to build the ads and what Facebook is looking for, so you can create them yourself and then understand what the sales funnel, the ad sales funnel looks like. If you want to, basically attempt this to yourself, that's kind of what we're here to get you to go out and do it yourself. So reach out, and I'll give you that cheat sheet that we use as a lead generator.
Great. Well, thank you so much for answering all our questions. Now I will head it back over to Doug.
Hey, thank you so much, Jacob. That was awesome. And as someone who's been in the ad industry, digital ad industry, even I learned a little bit there. So thank you so much. This event has been recorded. We're going to put it in our newsletter tomorrow. So if anybody's interested in revisiting, relearning some of this, it'll be there. Meanwhile, contact information for Jacob there. And with that, we're going to say goodbye. So.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining up. I hope I didn't talk too fast on all that, but yeah, definitely feel free to watch it back.